A very good afternoon, dear viewers. Welcome aboard. This is Sararights Television, the #1 leading television in Arua, West Nile, and Uganda. This is Saturday weekly news digest program with me, Galadino Ajusi, and my colleague, Letas Florence, has been taken off. Will be joining us shortly in the program. With us, we have the copies of the papers over the week, and we are going to take you through the most trending stories over the week. On the New Vision, the NRM releases over ceilings 20 billion for Ajusi flag bearers. President Museveni warns against sectarian politics. Museveni UN convoy discuss Sudan peace, regional stability. General Kainerugaba South Korea defense attacks discuss military cooperation. Museveni orders sacking of 6 more works officials. General Moses Ali to get official burial. How General Moses Ali survived treason charges. General Moses Ali buried with full military honor. Lastly, Uganda's ghetto kids light up World Cup final. This and more of the stories to come. Dear viewers, you can follow us on our different social media accounts like the Facebook, YouTube, and others. Let's have the recap of the headlines. NRM releases over ceilings 20 billion for Ajusi flag bearers. The ruling National Resistance Movement NRM party says it has released ceilings 20.79 billion to facilitate its grassroots mobilization activities across the country, as campaigns for local council 1, chairpersons, and village women council elections get underway. The funds, which are deposited into district party accounts on Saturday, are intended to support party flag bearers, sub-county mobilization meetings, village barazas, and other campaign operations following the close of nominations by the National Electoral Commission on the same day. In a circular issued yesterday, NRM National Treasurer Barbara Nekesa Ondoa cautioned district leaders against any misuse of the funds, reminding them that they are personally responsible for ensuring the facilitation are administered strictly in accordance with the party's guidelines. She stressed that there should be no incidents of misappropriation of funds and or alteration of guidelines in the administration of the funds. According to the party's allocation schedule, ceilings 7.82 billion has been earmarked to facilitate LC1 chairperson and village women council flag bearers, while ceilings 2.97 billion will finance sub-county mobilization meetings, transport funds for delegates, village barazas, and other field administration costs. The development comes after NRM issued a strong call for party unity and dispatch senior leaders across the country, which with all teams deployed being centrally focused on unit and massive grassroots mobilization ahead of forthcoming Ajusi polls. Over the weekend, senior leaders from the NRM Secretariat find out across the country holding sub-regional entry meetings in Acholi, West Nile, Lango, Bugisu, Karamoja, Bukedi, Greater Masaka, Greater Mubende, Greater Luero, Greater Mukono, Ankole, Rinjori, Kigez, and Bunyoro. The engagements brought together MPs, district party chairpersons, Ajusi 5 leaders, and other party officials to harmonize mobilization strategies and rally support for official NRM flag bearers. A common message emerged from all the meetings: NRM strength begins in the village, and internal unity will determine its success in the grassroots elections. The unit message was echoed in a Greater Masaka, where Deputy Secretary General Rose Namlianja called on members to end internal divisions ahead of the elections. While addressing leaders during a meeting held at Pale Cottages in Budaka district on Saturday, Nakesa asked the Buked region party leaders to delegate their time to guiding the masses to elect NRM flag bearers in the Ajusi polls implementation. Government programs intended to alleviate poverty has always faced resistance from leaders who are not alleged with the ruling government. Mulindwa equally thanked President Yoweri Museveni for the cabinet appointment and trust in one of their own, Jacobo Mason Obof, who was voted Speaker of the 12th Parliament. Facilitation packages. NRM Communication Director Emmanuel Dobo said the facilitation packages has been structured according to locations, with Ajusi 1 flag bearers in Kampala, Wakiso, Mukono, Luero, and Impiji, each receiving shillings 100,000, while their counterparts in the rest of the country will receive shillings 50,000. In order not to monetize the elections, NRM has taken the lead, and the little facilitations we give is just to help officers run the activities of the elections. Our proposal was shillings 100,000 for all, but the money was not enough, Dembo said. He added that polling will take place on July 23rd in all villages for women councils, and July 28th for local councils. Meanwhile, village women council flag bearers in Kampala, Wakiso, Mukono, Luero, and Impiji will each receive shillings 20,000. Those in other cities and municipalities will receive shillings 15,000, and those in the rest of the country will receive shillings 10,000. According to the circular, the party has also provided for administrative costs, which each NRM sub-county chairperson receiving shillings 100,000 to facilitate the transportation of funds and coordination of activities, while each district chairperson, district finance secretary, and district administrator will all receive shillings 100,000 to support fund management and other operational responsibilities. In other news, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni warns against sectarian politics. President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni has reaffirmed that patriotism, Pan-Africanism, socio-economic transformation, and democracy remain the four ideological principles guiding Uganda's development. He said Uganda's liberation struggle was guided by a clear ideological understanding of the source of prosperity. When we were fighting for the freedom of Africa, we asked ourselves whether Africans deserve prosperity like other people. The answer was yes. And then we asked where prosperity comes from. Does it come from begging? The answer was no. Museveni said, he explained that prosperity comes from producing goods or services that others are willingly to buy. If I produce milk, beef, or bananas, my prosperity does not come from any tribe because they produce the same things. My prosperity comes from other Ugandans who buy my products. That is why patriotism became our first ideological principle, he said. The president warned against sectarian politics based on tribe or religion, saying such things undermines national prosperity. He observed that Uganda's domestic market eventually becomes too small as production expands, making regional integration essential. Senior officers passed. Museveni, who is also the commander-in-chief of the Uganda People's Defense Forces, UPDF, made the remarks on Friday while passing out 106 senior security officers who successfully completed the advanced joined senior political education and leadership development course at the National Leadership Institute in Changwazi. The graduates comprised senior officers from UPDF, the Uganda Police Force, the Uganda Prison Service, the Internal Security Organization, the External Security Organization, and Wazalendo Savings and Credit Cooperative Society. In the 59th day course, which commenced on May 26, was designed to strengthen ideological grounding, leadership, and strategic thinking among senior security officers. Of the 106 participants, 52 were from the UPDF, while the remainder came from the other security agencies. At least 16 participants were female officers, most serving at the battalion and brigade command levels, he said. Socio-economic change. During the ceremony, Museveni responded to questions raised by participants on Uganda's socio-economic transformation, strategic security, and vision 2040. Society transformation, just like an insect change from an egg to a caterpillar, then a pupa, and finally a butterfly, societies also transform in stages and must be guided correctly through those stages, Museveni said. To illustrate the point, he showcased videos of communities he mobilized in western Uganda during the 1960s to abandon nomadism and embrace commercial production. Effective utilization of small piece of land through the 4-acre model, Museveni advised households to dedicate 1 acre to coffee, another to fruits, 1 to pasture, and the 4th to food crop energies, backyard space for poultry or piggery, adding that the government would continue combining education with mass sensitization to encourage more Ugandans to embrace wealth creation. Museveni UN envoy discussed Sudan peace and regional stability. President Yoweri Museveni held talks with the United Nations Secretary General's personnel envoy for Sudan, Peka Havisto, at his State House Entebbe, where they discussed the ongoing conflicts in Sudan, the humanitarian situation and the border peace and security landscape in the region. The Friday meeting focused on strengthening dialogue among the parties to the conflict, enhancing regional cooperation and supporting initiatives aimed at securing sustainable and inclusive peace in Sudan. President Museveni emphasized that achieving lasting peace in Sudan requires addressing the ideological and political issues that have continued to fuel instability. He stressed that dialogue, democratic processes, and inclusive governance remain the most effective means of resolving conflicts. The president cautioned against what he described as sovereignism in multinational states, urging that attempts to impose a single identity on diverse societies have often led to recurring political crises. There is ideological crisis. We have been telling them for years that they should respect the identities of their people. If people do not agree, why don't they go for elections? Using force to settle political differences is a wrong idea, President Museveni said. Refugee efforts. Museveni further reaffirmed Uganda's long-standing commitment to protecting people fleeing conflict, noting that the country's refugee policy is anchored in humanitarian values as well as the historical and cultural ties shared by communities across the region. The refugees are our people. They are contributing and building Uganda. They come with the knowledge, so we don't mind. They can come because this is their country. We have slightly more than 2 million refugees, including Congolese and South Sudanese, and many of our cultural groups are connected, he said. I want to thank you, Your Excellency, for hosting so many refugees, South Sudanese refugees. Everyone recognizes that effort, and the UN is grateful that Uganda has kept its doors open to refugees, Havisto said. He noted that the UN continues to engage the parties to the conflict through dialogue, with the discussions covering humanitarian access, the release of detainees, and the support for young people whose lives have been disrupted by the war. Havisto also observed that President Museveni's engagement with both sides of the Sudan conflict places him a unique position to contribute to ongoing peace efforts. He expressed optimism that sustained dialogue backed by regional and international support could help improve the situation and pave way for lasting peace and stability in Sudan. General Kainerugaba, South Korea defense attacks discuss military cooperation. The Chief of Defense Forces, General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, yesterday held talks with Col Kim Seha, the defense attached at the Embassy of the Republic of Korea in Uganda. During the meeting, which took place at the Special Forces Command headquarters in Entebbe municipality, the two leaders discussed the expansion of cooperation in healthcare and medical training, among other issues. Currently, South Korea is globally recognized for its cutting-edge medical technology, hospital systems, advanced surgical techniques, and leadership in biomedical research and emergency battlefield medicine. Also in attendance were Col Seha's Secretary Choi Yoon and Uganda's People's Defense Force Chief of Joint Staff Lieutenant General Jack Bakasumbia. Deeper medical collaboration. In his remarks, General Kainerugaba welcomed Col Kim and reflected on the many years of Uganda-South Korea friendship. He commended the Korean Armed Force for their professionalism and advanced technology, noting that the partnership has moved beyond diplomatic cutters into practical, everyday teamwork. The CDF also reiterated Uganda's strong consideration of opening a permanent mission in Seoul to deepen bilateral ties and drive defense modernization. Col Seha thanked the CDF for the warm reception and productive dialogue in it. In another trending news, still on the New Vision, President Museveni orders sacking of 6 more workers officials. President Yoweri Museveni has ordered the dismissal of 6 more engineers from the Works Ministry as the government intensifies investigation into alleged corruption and cost escalation on major road projects, including Busega Pidge Expressway. Works Minister Fred Mukama disclosed the directives while appearing before Parliament's Committee on Physical Infrastructure yesterday, saying the President's actions followed investigations into projects whose costs had ballooned, procurement route changes, and corruption. As I was leaving my office this morning, I received a letter from the President sacking 6 engineers, including some seated on this front bench. Our projects such as Busega, Pidge, and Mitiana Fort Portal roads, Bukama told the committee chaired by Muen Mpaka Romirama Mbarara Sit SAF MP. Without giving names, the minister said several engineers were already recording statements with the Inspectorate of Government, while investigations had also been extended to former ministry officials. The suspected individuals have been implicated. That is where you saw the permanent secretary Bageya Waswa being interdicted, he said. Museveni's latest directives builds an early order issued on June 26, 2026, in which he directed the Inspector General of Government, Isa Nalule, to investigate alleged corruption on the Busega Pidge Expressway. In that letter, the President suspended Bageya and engineers Patrick Mulema, Raymond Edwin, Kiyanga, and Dickens Ahimbiswe, accusing them of altering the road's alignment from the original compensated route to a new corridor requiring fresh compensation, driving the project cost from about shillings 600 billion to shillings 1.3 trillion. Later, the minister revealed that the cost even jumped further to shillings 2 trillion. He said the government had since tightened project implementation procedures by requiring acquisition of at least 50% of the required right of way before awarding road contracts, adding that Museveni had directed the ministry to raise that threshold to 70% to minimize compensation disputes and costly contract variations. In that Busega Pidge Airway, the 23.7 kilometer expressway and 20 kilometer of access roads form part of Uganda's expressway network under Vision 2040. Ministry documents indicate that the African Development Bank funded project being undertaken by China Civil Engineering Construction Corporation was originally awarded at shillings 547.5 billion, has attained 47.15% physical progress and 49.44% financial progress, with shillings 82.1 billion still outstanding to contractor. The road is now expected to be completed by December 2028, although the minister admitted the timeline could still change. Members of the committee repeatedly questioned why the cost of the expressway had continued to rise despite earlier approvals. Responding to the legislators, Engineer Isaac Wani, the Commissioner for National Roads, explained that Gulf consultants prepared the feasibility study and detailed engineering designs used to secure financing from the African Development Bank and procure the contractor. He said Dawa Engineering was also appointed to review the design and supervise construction after works had commenced. The committee's scrutiny intensifies when Parker read to them a letter written by former Uganda National Roads Authority UNRA Executive Director Allen Kagina in response to Daha Engineering final design updated submitted on April 19, 2021. In another news, General Moses Ali to get official burial. President Yoweri Museveni has accorded former second Deputy Prime Minister General Moses Ali an official burial. Ali, who at the time of his death was the Adjumani West constituency MP, will be buried tomorrow at Atabu Paris Pakle Division in Adjumani district. In a statement released yesterday, Minister for the President Mili Babalanda said the President has directed that the late Ali be accorded an official burial. An official burial is granted to one who has exhibited an extraordinary performance of their duties to the country. The government meets all the costs incurred during the burial. Consequently, in a historic manner, the Muslim community on Sunday held 3 separate funeral prayers for Ali. The funeral prayers were attended by hundreds of Muslims, were held at Naguru Upper Mosque, Chibuli, and Gaddafi National Mosque, respectively. Babalanda said the government has constituted the hybrid National Organizing Committee chaired by the Minister for the Presidency. The committee, which convened on Sunday at 3 p.m., drew a membership from the Office of the President, Parliament, the police, and the family, Babalanda said. She revealed that during the meeting, they agreed on tentative burial programs. Sunday at 5 p.m., prayers at General Moses Ali's home in Naguru. Today from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., legislators are expected to pay tribute to the late at Parliament chambers, where Museveni is expected to officiate as the chief mourner. The body will then be airlifted to his ancestral home in Adjumani district for a vigil tomorrow. Then there will be a regional local council sitting at Paridi Stadium in Adjumani, bringing together the entire Mali and West Nile regions. There will then be prayers leading to the burial ceremony at Atebu Paris, Pakle Division in Adjumani. The government sincerely commiserates with the bereaved family, the national resistance movement leadership, the people of West Nile and Mahdi sub-region, and all Ugandans upon the loss of a renowned leader and dedicated citizen, He will be deeply missed, Babalanda said. In related news, General Moses Ali buried with full military honor. Thousands of mourners, including families, friends of General Moses Ali, ministers, MPs, religious and cultural leaders, converged at Ajumani District Main Stadium for his final send-off, prayer and burial. Early yesterday, the deceased's families held a janaza at Takwa Mosque. Thereafter, the body was taken to Paridi Stadium, which is about 3 kilometers away from his home, where special regional council sitting took place before the official funeral presided over by Vice President Jessica Alupo, who represented President Yoweri Museveni Kaguta. In attendance were key dignitaries, including Deputy Speaker of Parliament Thomas Tayeba, Government Chief Whip Dr. Ruth Achen, Third Deputy Prime Minister Rukia Nakadama, Local Government Minister Balam Barugahara, and Justice Minister Norbert Mau. A special council sitting at 10 a.m. before the official funeral service, West Nile leaders held a special council sitting in Moses Ali's memory, during which the various leaders eulogized him as having been a pillar of peace, unity, and development. Yumbe District LC5 Chairperson Abdul Maltalb Muhammad Asiko, also West Nile Development Association Wenda Chairperson, described Moses Ali as having been a leader who chose peace over endless conflicts. He said, after years of armed struggle in the region, Ali made a historic decision to sign a peace agreement with the government, renouncing rebellion. Ajuman LC5 chairperson Johnny Ambayo said, West Nile had relied on Moses Ali for everything because he was the icon, ladder and voice. Ambayo said the government needs to appoint another leader from West Nile in the cabinet to speak about the region's challenges. Ajuman District Women Council Chairperson Asio Alice welcomed the resolutions, urging that they should be operationalized. Moyo District LC5 Chairperson Jimmy Okidi Vukoni described the deceased as a West Nile advocate, ambassador, bridge, and voice in the cabinet. The leaders later came up with various resolutions which they said would honor Moses Ali's lifelong vision for the transformation of West Nile. These resolutions were delivered to Alupo, who responded to some during her speech. Other leaders hailed General Ali. CDF Chief of Defense Forces General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, in a speech delivered on his behalf by late General Charles Otema, described Moses Ali as a patriot, peacemaker, and a principled person whose character shaped many young people. During the funeral prayers, Tayebwa said the deceased Leslester was a distinguished statesman, patriot, mentor, and one of Uganda's most dedicated public servants. I learned important lessons from his wisdom, discipline, humility, and unwavering commitment to public service. Barugahara said, Uganda will forever honor the life and legacy of Moses Ali, a patriot whose contribution to peace and national unity will never be forgotten. Minister for the President Millie Balanda said, let us remember that while great leaders depart, the value they lived for endure. the greatest tribute we can pay him is to preserve our unity, work hard for our country, and serve Uganda with the same dedication that defines his remarkable life achievements. Lastly, on the new vision, among the trending news, we have Uganda's ghetto kids light up World Cup final. The Uganda Cranes were at home watching like every other team not named Spain or Argentina. So were those Ugandans who had planned to travel for the World Cup before Ebola-induced travel restrictions put paid to their plans. Of course, we had no match officials at the tournament, either a run stretching back to 2002 when Ali Tumusange represented the nation as an assistant referee. Well, we might as well mention FIFA President Moses Magogo, who would not have been able to travel to the US even if there was no Ebola pandemic because of special restrictions by the US government. Put simply, Uganda's self-imposed aversions to the FIFA World Cup took on a special dimension this time until the ghetto kids showed up dancing with their way to the inaugural FIFA World Cup halftime show. The triplets ghetto kids conveyed out a massive share of the World Cup cake for Uganda as they performed the official tournament song, Day, with the Colombian superstar Shakira and Nigeria's Burna Boy. Dreams really do come true, the group posted on their official Instagram. Performing at World Cup halftime show with the Shakira was an experience we will carry with us for a long time. The performance exposed Uganda to the billions who cared to watch the halftime show, and can we agree with them from now on that this is the best World Cup ever, based in now famous Katue Salem, remember Chess, sensational Fiona Tess. The ghetto kids first hit the silver screen with their performance in Eddie Kenjo's City Lost music video 3 years ago. That has been the trending news over the week on the papers we have. I want to thank our dear viewers for always joining us and being with us. That does it for the Saturday's weekly news digest. You can still follow us on our different social media accounts like Facebook and YouTube. I remain Galadino Ajusi, the host. Thank you for joining and viewing us. Meet again in our next program. Have the pleasant lunch.